Okay. I forgot to mention the cure for this insanity. So, instead of making decisions based off subjective views, if we're going to make objective decisions, like where people should sit, or what job we should have, or what to spend our money on or not, if it's something objective, where clearly you can't afford something or something like that, the way that the world currently works is that people make 100% of their decisions off subjectivity. If somebody feels something, then they automatically accommodate this feeling, which I find absolutely stunning, because it's like, you know how many times that I've felt like killing somebody and then just didn't? I can only imagine what the world would look like if I ever did that. And yet I see that, or at least I see indications of it. Well, the cure for this is, instead of having a diagnostic and statistical manual that focuses solely upon subjectivity, we have a diagnostic and statistical manual that has a single mental illness: insanity. And insanity is any form of thought where you arrive at a conclusion while committing a logical fallacy or deviating from an empirical fact. If you pretend that something that, like unicorns, are empirically factual, then that's deviating from empirical soundness. And if you arrive at a conclusion, like the guy on the bus arrived at the conclusion that I was gay and that I was trying to pick him up because somebody on the radio was making some sexual comment while I buttoned the right sleeve of my shirt, then that's committing a logical fallacy, and that's logically fallacious. It's deviating from logical validity. Either of those are forms of mental insanity, and they go hand in hand. If somebody is making a conclusion, if they're arriving at a conclusion where they are pretending that something that's not factual, like unicorns, or that everybody is gay except me, or everybody is sexually attracted to everybody else all the time, every time, except for me, then these are not facts. And if I use those as if they were facts in order to come to a conclusion, even if I do use logical validity, then I'm still going to be insane and arrive at a false conclusion. Insanity is arriving at a false conclusion. That's what insanity really is. It's when you get something wrong. And you're getting it wrong not because you're stupid. You have the capability. You have the intelligence. But you get it wrong anyway. And the reason that you get it wrong is because the reason a person gets it wrong is because they're insane. They don't understand how to think. They don't understand what right thinking is. And all it is it's just avoiding logical fallacies, like the appeal to authority fallacy, where it depends on who says it. You know, like, if your mom, kids do this all the time. My dad said. Well, then little Jimmy's dad said, and little Susie's dad said, and yet there's a contradiction. So obviously, who says something doesn't dictate who's right. And we usually figure this out when we're kids, but then we forget it, and we pretend that it's, no. It's just, you can't use your dad, but you can use the system. You can use the government. You can use the church. You can use my friend. You can use some pop star. You can use tabloid magazines like The Sun. So you can make these appeal to authority fallacies to this day, and it's the same thing that little kids do. And it's just as wrong no matter how you use it. Or you can have some crazed, toothless, homeless bum tell you truths that can't be true because he's homeless and crazy. Oh my God. So the only way to cure that is that you avoid the logical fallacies. So you have to learn what those are. The appeal to authority fallacy is where you determine the truth of a statement based upon who says it, not what was said. And you avoid doing that. That's sane. And then you avoid believing in magical, unscientific things like unicorns and the idea that everyone around you is sexually attracted to you because they button the right sleeve. So you avoid those things, and then you aren't insane. And the only thing that you would have to do in order to invent some statistical manual that actually does diagnose someone who really is insane, is you devise a test where it's like the guy on the bus. It's like, it has to be demonstrable. It can't be something that you just ask a question like they do in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. Because you can say stuff, whatever. It needs to be demonstrable. It needs to be something that's acted out, actualized. An actual decision needs to be made. And so you have to put somebody in a situation where they can either make the right decision or the wrong decision. The right decision being something that's logically valid and empirically sound, which avoids logical fallacies and it avoids empirical unsoundness. And then whatever else they do is incorrect. And if they do it too often, then they're insane. And if they get the right answer often enough, then they're sane. And that's how you discern who's sane from who isn't sane. So a good example that I came up with was, I was in the chow hall, the homeless shelter, where they feed you food. And one of the arbitrary rules that they have there, because all their rules are arbitrary, is, well, if there's a line, and they call it table by table, they'll release tables by tables, and that gives everybody a fair chance, right? Okay, so every day, every single time they serve, there's always somebody that cuts in line, where they just jump into the line out of place. Well, in order to crack down on that, they will only let you in the line if you immediately get up out of your chair when they release your table. If you're in the bathroom, let's say you put your stuff down and you have to go take a piss, and they happen to release your table while you're in the bathroom, and then you come back and you see that your table's empty, and then you go into the line because your table was released, so that means that you're able to go into the line because you waited for your turn. Well, unfortunately for you, because they didn't know who was sitting where, they just released the table en masse. If you come in from the bathroom, they'll tell you to go sit back down and wait for seconds. So you have to wait for every single other table to be called. So you can't go to the bathroom. So de facto, the rule is you can't go anywhere until they release your table. You have to sit there at the same table for the entire duration of while they're releasing tables. Because if you happen to be away from your table and then you come back to an empty one, they won't believe you that you were released from that table. And it's happened to me several times. I've been in the bathroom where I was out smoking a cigarette. And, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to smoke a cigarette. So who knows how many tables get released? Well, I come back and the table's empty. So I go back in the line. Okay, well, my table's empty. So I go in the line, and immediately the staff stops me. No. Where? And it's funny because they'll ask me the question, where did you come from? Well, I was sitting right there when you released the table. Nope, go sit down. Okay. So it's like, why'd you even ask me, number one? And number two, how do you know? Like, you're just guessing, and then you're going to make me wait because you guessed? And I've tried to say that to them, and they're like, no, you're going to get ATL'd, or whatever, because I've seen people do this. So I didn't do that. I didn't push it to that extent, but I've seen other people do this. I've been tempted to do it. Excuse me. I've been tempted to do it. But I've never done it because I've seen other people do this, where they're like, you're full of shit. I was sitting right here, Or they'll be on their phone and they'll be texting their lady or something like that, and they don't hear it or they don't notice, or they want to get the text shut off before they get up. And then they get into the line after that, and they have these little barriers, and so they put it right as soon as the last person gets in there, they put the barrier up. So, and they don't even look at the table to see if there's anybody sitting at it still. I've seen this happen too. There will be a dude that's sitting there texting somebody or looking at videos or distracted. Everybody else is gone off that table. They shut the barrier. And then the dude gets up. He goes, oh shit. And he gets up out of the table that they've already released. He goes into the line, or tries to go into the line. And the barrier's already been shut. They go, nope. You got to go back to your table. And he's like, but my table's the one that got released. Why won't you let me into the line? My table's the one that got released. And I've seen them go at it before. You guys are full of shit. You're trying to starve me. Fuck you. Because the homeless people are, they're all fucked up. So they do that. But they have a reason to do it. And it's like, yeah, these are arbitrary rules. So a demonstration like that, that's a demonstration of insanity. Like, you didn't even check to see where the guy came from, but you're going to go tell him to go sit back down because you assume that he's trying to cut the line? Not only that, but they don't actually succeed in ever getting somebody that does cut in. I've never seen it. I've seen people cut in the line. Not one time has the staff ever told somebody that actually cut in line to go back to their table. Ever. Ever. I've seen dozens do it. They do it every single meal and they never get caught. But yet they send people back to their tables after they've been released. It's crazy. I don't understand it. If you go to the back of the line, they'll catch you. But if you cut into the center, they don't ever say a word. So there's another demonstration. It's like, okay, homeless shelter, let's see if you can act sane. So the next time that they serve a meal, the way that they would pass the sanity test instead of failing it, because that was an example of failing, the way they would pass it is, first of all, you look to see where they go sit back down, right? Or a better one would be, let's say everybody that gets released from a certain table is supposed to be in the line. Some of the people might be missing. So if you see somebody come in from their cigarette, tell them, let's see, that wouldn't be it either. Let's see. The right one would be let's say a certain number of people can sit in the line because you want to give everybody a fair shot. So you would have to count how many people are in the line. Now, you know already how many people are in a table because you can count those and you can memorize that. And if you see a full table, right, or you count how many empty seats there are at that table that you released, then you count the number of people that get into the line. And then you have the line counted so that you can ensure that no one has entered the line that wasn't at that table, and you keep a constant track of that. Now, if you see an empty table or an empty seat at the table, whoever leaves these, almost invariably, I've noticed, leaves their coat or something, a bag that's sitting on that seat that saves it for them. Count that as if it were a person, because while they may not be in the table already, then they're still part of that table. So if somebody comes in and then they say, well, I was outside smoking a cigarette, and then you tell them to go sit at their seat, and they sit at the released table that had already been released, they're going to be sitting at somebody's stuff, right? So then ask somebody in the line, has anybody's stuff been removed or something like that? Or better yet, you know what? I'm doing this off the cuff. I still can't come up with one that's good. They should do it I guess the only way they'd be able to do it is in little batches, right? Like 5 at a time. Okay, you 5, get up. You 5, there it is. That's the only one I think that would work well, because then you could be really certain. Okay, 5 of you at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can count them. You can memorize 5 faces, and you can watch them walk up into the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you see somebody that's coming in, and they happen to sit down at a table where they're about to be released, and then you can release them as normal. They sit at a table that's already been released, where 5 people have already been released. And then you say, hey, we already released some people before you. Would you like to get in the line? Are you eating? And they say yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you go right along. And then you do it in small batches, and you get everybody, and then you can make sure nobody cuts. And that's how you would pass the sanity test. They've yet to do so. I'm gonna ask them to see if they might do that, and see if they might implement that, because the way that they currently do it is insane, and I would prefer to live in a sane environment, and we'll see what they say. I might record that and see what they say and see what their reasoning is. Most likely what they'll do is they'll say, shut up and go sit down. Which is, that's a non sequitur, which is totally insane. Shut up and go sit down. You're not staff. So therefore everything that you think is crazy. Appeal to authority fallacy wins the day. Goodbye.